You are that type of person that has ambition. I'm going to read out some of these goals. Beth is getting her focus on 5 by the 15th and rank advancing to silver. Steph's going for gold. Shayla, focus on 5 and diamond. Becky, 3 people hit 1,000. So 3 new people hitting that $1,000 bonus. Jules is going for gold. 2 brand partners. We got a lot. We're going to be like gold. Everyone is going to be gold and gilded this month. Beth, you know what I think that means? I think Beth needs to set her goal to gold because she is an achiever, and I'm going to just push you a little bit because whatever, if you don't hit it, who cares? Set the goal for gold because it seems to be the theme of the call today, and I'm going to be a pusher and do that. So that's what we're doing, Beth. Danielle is going for gold. Amazing. Okay, so we've got a lot of really amazing goals that you are working towards in your business, right? So one of the things that I know is that when we have that ambition and we have those goals, we're working towards those goals, it requires energy, right? I want you to tell me in the chat what type of energy you are expecting to have or need in order to achieve that goal. Is it going to be like status quo energy? Are you going to need big energy? Are you going to need steady energy? What is it that you are going to need in order to achieve that goal? 10 enrollments, 10,000. I'm going to boss up and I'm going to have big girl energy and I'm going to show up in a way that matches my ambition so that I can get where I'm going. Where you are right now when it comes to your results that you have and the energy that you have, how you're showing up, the goals that you've achieved, here is how you got there. We can look back, reflect to see why we are where we are right now. Number 1 is our current priorities. Number 2 is our current passions. And then number 3 is our current circumstances. So if we look at our circumstances, things that just are, some of them are in our control, some of them are out of our control, but it's not opinion. It just is what it is, right? I live in Oregon. That's a circumstance. I have 3 kids. That's a circumstance, right? All of those kinds of things are circumstances. If you look at what you're passionate about in this season right now, today, that will illuminate how you got to where you are. And if you look at your priorities, that will illuminate how you got to where you are. So we want to think about these things and think about the goals that we're setting for ourselves. And really, again, understanding our circumstances, our priorities, our passions, all of those kinds of things are what is going to continue driving us in the direction that we're headed, or if we need to pivot or anything like that. Unlocking Unstuck framework goes like this. There's 4 pieces to it. Number 1 is your vision. Sorry, there's 5 pieces to it. Number 1 is your vision. Number 2 is your priorities in this season, your key priorities in this season. Number 3 is your identity and beliefs. Number 4 is your habits. And then number 5 is celebration and evaluation. This is a goal setting process that is a framework that allows you to decide where you're going, because if we don't aim at anything, if we don't know where we're headed, we are probably not going to get there. It's like trying to get to the beach and not having GPS or a map and being really bad with your sense of direction. Some people are good with their sense of direction and they can figure out how to get to the beach. Probably not if they live in the Midwest, though. They might be driving in a lot of circles before they get there. So having that GPS to actually be able to program in the coordinates of where it is that you want to head, and then having a framework to plug into to know exactly how to get there. Let's start it off with step 1, clarifying your vision. What I want you guys to know is I have a 20-page workbook that takes you through this whole process. So if this is the first time that you are right first or been there, if you have done an Unlocking Unstuck round before, write it in the chat. If this is your first time hearing about this framework or going through any of this, write that right first in the comments. Okay. So there is a 20-page workbook that I will share inside of the Facebook group that will take you through each of these steps. It will take you deeper into vision casting and figuring out your priorities and digging into your beliefs and all of those kinds of things. So it's going to take you through the process to really help you identify your goals, your beliefs, your habits, and then how to celebrate and evaluate so that you can repeat the process. So most of you guys have been through this, and this really is a lot of the foundation of how we build, how we set goals, how we mentor and coach and evaluate. And vision casting is always step one, because again, this is really where you are able to show up, grab that paintbrush, and decide, this is what I want. I want to hit the rank of gold. I want to have this many enrollments. I want to do X, Y, and Z. But you also get to decide how you want to do that. Danielle is working towards the rank of gold. Becky, I believe, is working towards the rank of gold. How do you want to feel when you get there? Put that in the chat. And whatever goal that you have for yourself that you are setting in your business with your ambition right now, how do you want to feel? Peace, calm, proud. This is where you can clarify that vision. You get to decide where you're headed and how it feels when you get there. That's what this Unlock and Unstuck process will really help you do. A couple of questions that you want to ask before you start really figuring out what your vision is. Number one, where am I? So, where are you right now? If you're looking at this through the lens of your business, where are you? What rank are you at? How much money are you making? If you look back at March, what rank am I at? How much money did I make? Am I getting along well with my spouse? Do I feel like a good mom? Do I feel like I'm dropping the ball? Like, where are you? And just be brutally honest. This is where toxic positivity does not help you. You don't want to judge or be negative. You want to be neutral as possible, and just look at, where are you? Okay, so step one is going to be going through and figuring out where you are. The second thing you're going to ask yourself is, what beliefs got me here? So wherever, Beth got to bronze in the month of March. Beth's current beliefs got her to that rank, and all of the other things that were happening behind the scenes, her current beliefs created that reality. So we can look at, what beliefs did I have to get to this rank while doing all of these other things? What beliefs did I have? I'm a hard worker. I know how to hustle. I don't know what they are, but you can go through and you can look at those things. Then the third question you're going to ask yourself is, where am I going? Where you're setting that goal for yourself of, where am I going? Beth is going towards the rank of gold. She's going towards the rank of gold with peace and ease. But what this is an invitation to right now, Beth, is you get to believe some new things. This will probably help uncover some beliefs that you have about where it is that you're going. And you'll get to learn to believe some new things in order to go from where you are right now to where you're headed. This is where I am. And some of you guys, you might be coming into this month feeling like a failure, feeling behind, feeling stuck, feeling less than. Again, it doesn't have to be sunshine and roses, and it's not purposeful to be that way. And then you can check in with the beliefs that got you there. If you're going, I'm going to put some pressure on you. For the ambitious ones, you're going somewhere different than you are right now. You will have to create space for that. You cannot be who you are right now and get to where you're going next. What that means is that you have the opportunity to transform every single day. I'm here to transform if you're here for it. If you're like, I can do that, I can do that. Who you are now will not be who you are when you achieve the next rank and the next rank and the next rank and the next rank, unless you want to get there and then slide right back to where you started. Sometimes our ambition and our work ethic can get us up to here, but then we reset to our beliefs. Have you guys ever seen that? Somebody make a lot of money and spend every dollar of it? Or have you guys ever seen that with people that win the lottery? A lot of times within a few years, they go right back to the same level of like financial security or whatever, because we will relate back to our level of beliefs. You want to have that vision, figure out where you are, and then decide, am I happy where I am? Is this what I want? Is this what feels good? Or do I want to go somewhere else? You guys tell me in the chat. Are you happy where you are? Or do you want to go somewhere else? We're going to go through this framework to help you do that. So the second piece of the framework, once you have figured out that vision, and again, if you want to dig deeper into this and really go through the full process, there's a 20-page workbook that I will share in the description of this video inside of the group. You can go through that process. You can do it over and over. And then pretty soon your brain will just operate this way. And you will have this framework embedded in who you are. How many of you guys, you feel like your brain just works this way now? That you like thoughts, feelings, actions, and cast the vision, build the beliefs and the identity that are in alignment with it, figure out the habits that go along with it, evaluate and celebrate, and start back at the top. The second part of this, once you have that vision and you know where it is that you're going, where are you headed in the month of April? To gold with peace. This many enrollments with peace, or with energy, or having fun, or feeling alive, or being a great mom. You're going to have that vision. You're going to know where it is that you're going. And then the second thing that you're going to do is you are going to define the values and beliefs that you would need to have in order for it to be automatic, right? If you were that person, if Beth was gold with peace, what type of values and beliefs would she have that would just show up every day that those results would be inevitable? Let me know in the chat if that makes sense to you. So you're like, okay, yes, that makes sense to me. If I have an identity and I value health, if I believe that I'm a healthy person, it's my identity, it is a value that I have. I grocery shop a certain way. I fuel my body in a certain way. I go to sleep at a certain time. I exercise. Like we all know those people, that's just who they are. And they do the do. You get to do that, right? So 95% of the thoughts that we think on a daily basis are automatic. They come from our subconscious. That means that you are not going in and handpicking all of the thoughts that you're having on a daily basis. 95% of them are automatic. And here's what's really scary or really exciting, depending on how you're showing up. The majority of the world, they're not doing this type of work. They're not leaning into self-awareness. They're not doing mindset training. They're not plugging into Unlock and Unstuck. What their thoughts are coming from, like what has programmed those thoughts into their mind, is their life experiences, largely from age 10 and under. Age 10 and under, a good percentage of our beliefs about ourselves, the world around us, how things work, that's where a lot of that is programmed in, right? So we have this brain, that is this mind, right? That is so powerful and is so incredible and so amazing. And so many of our thoughts were programmed in when we were kids. I don't know about you guys. I'm 37. Is the world anything like it was when you were 6 or 7 years old? Tell me in the chat. Mine's not at all whatsoever. My ambitions, my goals, the way that I want to live my life, how I want to show up in my relationships. If I think back to what was modeled, at that time and what I want to live now, not at all the same. But again, 95% of our thoughts are automatic. So if you're trying to set goals for yourself and all you're doing is setting the goals and skipping ahead to the habits or the actions, and you're like, just tell me what to do. You don't need to know what to do. You need to know what to think. And if you think these thoughts, then that is going to create the feeling and the action and the result that you're looking for. The thoughts, feelings, actions. Write that down. Thoughts, feelings, actions. If we've got 95% of our and our thoughts trigger our feelings, and then our feelings trigger our actions, how much of our results are 95%? So you can set that goal for yourself. And if you don't do this work, you have a 95% chance that if that isn't in your memory and history, if it's not something that you've experienced before, if it's not something that you've done before, you have a 95% chance of not getting there. This is important work, and there are references to how important that it is to take our thoughts captive, to renew our mind, to really pay attention to the things that we are thinking, to think good thoughts, to meditate on truth, to really program these things in. And this is why, because it's how our brain works. We have all of these thought trees, these neural pathways that are going on in our brain that are automatic and subconscious. And so so many of you guys, like, you're trying to set these goals for yourself, and you have to understand that 95% of your thoughts are automatic and you're operating out of memory and history. That's how your brain works. It's like a computer program. So when you are ambitious, when you are a visionary, write visionary in the chat. If you know that you dream and you are trying to create something that you have not done before, when you are that type of person, you have to have these types of processes and habits and frameworks in your life. Otherwise, you will get stuck. You will stay stuck. You will be frustrated. You will be so confused on why it can be so clear in here, so clear in here, and you cannot get it to happen. You self-sabotage. Weird things happen around you. You have all of these things that seem to keep you from where it is that you're headed. It's because 95% of your thoughts are automatic and you're operating out of memory and history. When you are a visionary, that needs to be operating out of vision and hope. But if you're going to do that, you got to have a framework that takes into account how our brains actually work. Okay, this is Unlocking Unstuck. This is the keys to limitless possibility in your future. You've got your vision. Now you get to dig into your values and beliefs that are going to help you move towards that. What are your core values? Okay, it's really important to ask yourself these things and start to dig into this. Dare to Lead by Brené Brown is probably one of the best books I've ever read when it comes to like understanding and uncovering your core values. So if this is something that you really want to dig into and understand, I would encourage you to have some type of a personal development book that you are reading or listening to as you go throughout the month that's going to be in alignment with the goals that you're setting for yourself. If you're like, I need big energy, awesome. Read a book on energy. Read The Energy Bus. That's one of my favorites, right? Read a book that has to do with what it is that you feel like you need. If you need peace in your relationships or you need connection, that I need to be a better parent, read a parenting book and get yourself immersed in that. If you are really needing to connect with your spouse, read a marriage book and grow in that area, because that's going to give you the energy that you need moving forward. If you're like, I need to understand who I am and what it is that I'm working towards, read a book on leadership or self-leadership or something along those lines. Figure out what are your core values, and then what would some of the beliefs or the thoughts that you would need to have in order for that vision to be non-negotiable. So I'm thinking of Beth again and getting to gold with peace. I know Beth has a figure competition that she's doing this month, and she is on the final stretch. And so there's some beliefs that in order for her to have that exponential growth, Beth, as you do this, your brain is going to show you all of the current beliefs that you have about probably why that's not possible, which is don't judge it, just look at it. When this is the best thing that you guys can do when you set those goals and your brain starts to freak out, just get curious and start writing down what it's telling you. What is it saying isn't possible or is true about you or is true about your circumstances? And the louder that it gets and the more that it freaks out, don't stop it. Don't try to shut it up. Get it out and write it down so that you can look at it and be like, okay, I didn't realize I was thinking that. Or wow, I had no idea that was under the surface. So then you have that information and now you can decide what are the intentional thoughts, the intentional beliefs that you are going to have that are in alignment with your values, and that it would be inevitable for you to hit those goals. So, Beth hitting gold with peace this month, it needs to happen easily. Your team needs to multiply. So, I am a prolific leader. I attract starters. I have supernatural energy. I'm supernaturally renewed energetically. I have an abundance of XYZ. So you would go through and you would think about what are the intentional beliefs that you need to have that would help you to take action and to create the habits that would be in alignment with the goal that you're working towards. I really love belief cards personally. When you're working towards this, pick 5 to 10 beliefs or thoughts that you are going to program in as you're working towards that goal. Write them down on a note card like you're studying for a test. This is your test of life, test of ambition, test of goals. I don't know. You're studying for a test and look at those note cards 1 to 3 times per day. Look at them when you wake up, go through them, say them out loud, maybe midday, for sure before you go to bed. You go to bed thinking on those note cards, those beliefs that you have. If you want to really connect this with your faith, one of the things that you can do is that you can take those thoughts, those beliefs, and find scripture that is truth. Write it on the back of the note card, and you have your I have an abundance of energy. And then you have scripture on the back of that note card that you say that programs into your brain that this is truth, right? It says it in the Bible here, or I have an abundance of influence. And if you need help on this, send me a message and I can give you some resources on how to create those. I love having belief cards because it's a really powerful way to have that repetition to program that into your subconscious. Your brain is plastic. You can completely reprogram it. You can have a new body in 7 years, like our cells turn over and you would be a new person in 7 years. If anyone tells you that you're just getting older or it is the way it is, they don't understand like how our biochemistry works because your body renews itself over and over. You can renew your mind every single day. So whatever type of thoughts got you here or beliefs got you here, anything that you knew to be true in the past, you get to decide if you take that with you into the future. And you can program in powerful, empowering, right? Positive thoughts into your brain to where then those 95% of automatic thoughts are working for you. Do the work. I'm going to put some pressure on you. Do the work. If I say, hey, you should have belief cards, you best be going to the dollar store or wherever, getting on Amazon and getting some note cards and writing out those belief cards and doing the unseen hours, right? The foundational stuff. Waking up in the morning and pulling those out and looking at them. I still do it. I will do it for the rest of my life because I will never stop being ambitious. I will never stop expanding my vision and expanding my reach and letting God work through me. I will never stop. And he showed me that this is how he said, here you go, Cassie, you want the strategy? Here's the download. Here's how you do it. Okay, so again, we have the vision. We have the beliefs. Now we remember thoughts, feelings, action. So now we want to lean into habit and really setting ourselves up to get the results that we're working towards. Okay, so 95% of our thoughts are automatic, but 95% of our actions are automatic. Our brain is constantly trying to systematize and automate things. How cool is that? Your brain is literally always working for you to try to conserve energy, and it wants to spot patterns anywhere that there is a pattern and be like, oh, this is a habit. Let me just program that in. Now you don't have to think about that anymore, Beth. You're good to go, right? Because now it's a habit. Okay. This is true for good habits, bad habits that are neutral, habits that are moving towards your goals, habits that are moving you away from your goals. Doesn't matter what type of habit it is. This is how our brain operates and creates those habits. So it works like this: cue, response, reward. Cue, response, reward. We want to think about what are the habits that we need to have in order to achieve the goal that we're setting for the month. Think about what are the habits that you need to have that are going to help you to achieve the goals that you're setting for this month. You're going to need to post on social media or to get into your conversations. You're going to need the time to do that. You're going to need the energy to do that. I'm going to need the communication with my husband and with my kids, especially in the beginning stages. That was so important to communicate, to create the space for that. What types of habits do I need to have in order to achieve that goal? So Beth is working towards the goal of gold in her business. She's probably going to need to have the habit, if she doesn't already, of going to bed at a certain time. This is good. Danielle says, setting my phone aside for time, create time blocks for work, communication with Kyle, staying grounded in scripture, to have steady energy, and a bedtime. So thinking about those kinds of things, it's like, what type of habits do you need to have to make that goal inevitable? To keep this really simple, and the more that you do this, the more that you will see how it works and the more that you will start to create new and different habits. You want to have habits for your income producing activities. You want to create habits around that where it's just you sit down and post at a certain time. Or I do this a lot if I'm really working on the repetition of stories. Stories is not, I wouldn't say it's a challenge, but the repetition for me for stories, the habit of it can be challenging to slow down. I'm not one of those people that's constantly like doing my day all of the time. It's more of a like thing that I'm doing. For the repetition, I like to attach that habit to something that I'm already doing. So if I'm making my happy juice, I attach showing up in stories to making my happy juice because I already know I'm going to make my happy juice. So that's my cue. I already know I'm not skipping that. I might skip like getting in stories. I am not skipping my happy juice. Doing attaching the habit to something that I'm already going to do, that's the cue. Right? Cue, response, reward. So I make the happy juice. I post in stories. My reward is I drink the happy juice. Right? So cue, response, reward. So how can you make things simple and easier? This is just an example, right? And you can think of if it's when you do your morning coffee and you love that time with your coffee, I want you to have that time with your coffee. But if you are also really struggling to stick with the habit of posting on social media or stick with the habit of following up and getting into conversations, posting is probably not that hard. It's probably the messenger conversations. Do it when you're drinking your coffee. Cue, response, reward, to where you are attaching the habit of what it is that you need to do to grow your business to something that you're already going to do or that is already a habit. Beth, if you're doing cardio, a habit for you at this point. So if there is personal development that you need to be doing or content writing or messages or whatever, you can attach it to that habit And then it's something that's automatically going to get done. Your belief cards, like any of those kinds of things. And I would attach something to a habit that you already have that you enjoy, attach something that you find yourself pulling away from, you need to do. If you know you need to connect with your spouse and your kids more this month because you're setting big goals and you need big energy, send a text, set a reminder in your phone, cue, send nice text to hubby, right? Cue, alarm goes off. Response, you send the text. Reward, you feel good about yourself. You do a happy dance. So then pretty soon you are in the habit of number one, doing that action. But number two, you're in the habit of thinking of something kind to say to the person that you love and care about. And that is a powerful thing. If it's with your kids, create the habit of leaving your phone in the car at night until kids go to bed, or not bringing it to school pickup. You're creating those habits that are going to give you the energy, the results, the influence, the connection in order for you to hit that goal. So, vision, beliefs, now action, but we want to constantly be looking for habits and that habit loop that we can attach the actions to. And especially if this is like a long-term thing, how can we create that as a habit that we don't even think about it anymore? That's who we are. We sit down. How many of you guys have like your business activities? You literally don't even think about it. Put it in the chat if you're like, yes, I sit down and I have coffee and I get into Messenger. Now, you might have habits where you're like, yes, I sit down and I get into my phone and I start scrolling and then I don't get anything done. You have a habit of doing that. So now you just have to replace that habit with something that's more beneficial. Or you're like, yes, I get into bed and I scroll for hours and I tell myself I'm working. It's just a habit. It's totally okay. You just have to replace it with something more beneficial. Okay. The final part of this process is celebrating and evaluating. You want to train your brain to focus on the positivity. Part of this is with those beliefs and that thought work. That is a big step in that direction. Our brains are trained to spot threat and danger, right? That's what keeps us safe and kept us alive back in the times where things were a lot more dangerous and unsafe. Our brains are really good at spotting negativity. How many of you guys know that your brain is like a champion at negativity? So this is something that for me really took a lot of intentionality and honestly took an identity shift for me to not see myself as a realist or a pessimist. That's how I used to see myself. And I used to think that it was like a good thing and that it helped me to be a problem solver or whatever. And I had to shift my identity and some of the beliefs that I had around that and really train myself for positivity. So our brains automatically, me and Kelsey, we're the only ones that see the negative. I'm really happy for all of you guys that don't have to worry about this because it definitely can make you have to pay attention a lot more and take your thoughts captive. So like for me, I have to know that about myself, that when I am feeling a certain thing, when I'm honestly like, if I'm feeling triggered, my brain is going to spit out a bunch of negativity that is not true. Always. And so I have to know that about myself and go, okay, hold on. What's actually true here? What's the real story? If you already trained your brain for positivity, that is incredible. And you are going to be leaps and heads ahead on this process. So a celebration is one of those things that will help you in training your brain for positivity. So gratitude is one thing that I think is really helpful. And then the second thing is celebration. Some of us are really good at gratitude, not so good at celebrating. It is ingrained in our culture that we should be hard on ourselves, not celebrate, delay gratification, all of those kinds of things. This is the thing that will slow you down more than anything else in all of this. If you do not learn how to create pleasure and reward in the process, in the goals that you're setting for yourself and the thought work that you're doing and the habits that you're creating and all of that, Your brain is going to fight you tooth and nail every step of the way. This right here, if you do not find a way to have pleasure and reward in the process, your brain will fight you tooth and nail. If you make it painful constantly, your brain is going to fight you every single day. How many of you guys are doing something physically that is painful right now? I know Ashley, I can't see her on my screen, so I don't know if she's still on, but she's been doing cold plunges. Beth is doing a figure competition, so like every day is painful. Jules, painful. Daily shot, painful. I'm going to give you guys, no, this is something that you could try for that. So Jules, Danielle, and Beth, does your brain fight you every single day before you go do that thing that you know is going to be painful? Does your brain try to tell you not to do it? We can't do it. It's like it's this whole mental gymnastics. And then you do the thing and you're like, it wasn't so bad, or maybe it was bad, but you got through it. You didn't die. If we are not finding ways to create pleasure, which we create that feeling, I learned this when I went through a childbirth education class to have a natural, unmedicated birth with Truett. And it totally transformed how I operate. Most pain comes from inside of us. We create the pain. My body creates the pain. I'm not going to die from it. More than likely. Things happen, but more than likely, I'm not going to die from the pain, right? The feeling of enjoyment, the feeling of pleasure, the feeling of satisfaction, happiness. Where does it come from? Who creates it? What is it? It comes from you. Comes from in you. You create that feeling. You create the chemicals that gives you that feeling. If you are exercising and you get the endorphin rush, you created that feeling. It came from inside of you. So you have this arsenal, this tool chest of medication, right? Or chemicals to give you the feeling that is going to either cause pain and keep you from doing something, because that's a lot of times we move away from pain, or lean into doing something, pleasure. We're going to do more of it because our brain's, yeah, give me more of that. I want more of that. Celebration is a way to train your brain for positivity, but to also take some of the resistance away, right? If you're creating pleasure around what it is that you're doing, if you are showing up and you send the messenger conversation and you were scared, and then you do a full body dance party that feels so fun, and you are like listening to your favorite song and dreaming about the future and the amazing things, you're going to feel amazing. If you celebrate, if you are hard on yourself and you withhold celebration, and you're like, I'm only going to celebrate when I hit the goal, when I rank advance, that's the only time I'm going to celebrate. You are going to have so much willpower, so much motivation to get there, because your brain is going to fight you tooth and nail every step of the way. And I just want to invite you and encourage you and remind you that you create that feeling. The vision, it's yours. It came from inside of you. I believe that if you have that vision, you are already equipped with every single thing that you need in order to bring that vision to reality. But you have to do the work. Like you want the cake, and sometimes we're given the sugar and the flour and the eggs and the butter and the salt and the vanilla and the bowl and the whisk, or maybe we have to go out and find the whisk, and that's how you go and make the cake. Sometimes like that's our vision is we have the vision and we're like, I want the cake and it's here's the ingredients. And you're like, I want the cake. Here's the ingredients. No, you're not hearing me. And it's already, you already have it. You already have everything that you need. Beth, I promise you to get to silver with ease, you have everything right there. That could happen in the snap of a fingers. It's already inside of you. You just have to get in alignment with that vision, those thoughts, that belief, those actions, and celebrate your booty off every single way so that it feels really good, because that's really what you're wanting. You're wanting that feeling of peace. You're wanting that feeling of joy and satisfaction. And the more that you move towards that and create that environment inside of your body, the more that you are going to attract more and more of that. This is literally how our brains work. So be intentional about that and understand, okay, I have the vision. Now here are the beliefs that I need to have that are going to help me to bring that vision to life. The habits, right? You get to determine the habits that are going to get you there. I really firmly believe, and again, this is hard for some people where you want to be told what to do. How do I get there? It looks different for everybody. You have the vision. You know what to do. Do you believe that? Tell me in the chat. Do you believe that? Trust your gut. Trust that voice. Listen. Implement those habits. Stop fighting it. Learn, right? Get a book, get some self-awareness, do some journaling, plug into these calls, source yourself, and get into that headspace. Evaluation, very helpful, but we don't evaluate from a place of being triggered or like intense emotion, because then what that brings up isn't usually like the facts, it's usually our feelings, which can be helpful, but we just have to understand that's what we're doing. And then just really focusing on that incremental growth and that 1% improvement and celebrating every step of the way. If you train your brain for positivity, you seek pleasure and reward in the process and those things that you're doing, you will see that improvement. And you will get to the end of this month and you will be checking all the boxes of the things that you've accomplished and how you're showing up and who you're being. And you'll be like, this is freaking amazing, because you just unlocked the ability to take that vision that's inside of you and bring it into reality. How cool is that?